questions. The first one is about what what went on in August, your experience of the project in general, and within that, I'm going to ask you what kind of conversations you had, who, some stories. So, the
Okay.
project itself had the zines and the conversation starter and the food, and it also had this online stuff. So, generally, what do you think worked, what didn't work, or what shouldn't ever have been done also?
I really like the zines. I think that I was wondering if the zines, like, I just was curious on if it would strike the neighbors' interest, because it was some new neighbors that I hadn't been interacting with, and I was just curious how, if they would be interested or if they would say something, or I was just wondering what the stuff like initially, is it something that they really wanted, like I thought it sounded good. It seemed like it sounded good. So then I started wondering, like, was it really gonna work good? How would they feel about it being herbs and vegetables? Even though I told them, like, were they thinking it was food? Would they be able to use some of the stuff? I was just thinking, and I thought it was a pretty good idea. So what happened? Everybody received everything well. At first, they just didn't know what everything was. And they were like, what is some of this stuff? They were happy to get it. Everybody was really grateful. No one like had anything to say about it not being like food or anything. But in the future, it would be nice to add like some food too. But they were just like asking, how did I use it, or how do you use some of the things? And so every time, like every week, we started to talk about like what we did with the stuff or what can be done with it. So like one of my neighbors shared how they cooked it, what they did. Another neighbor shared, like pretty much all of them shared what they did. So I just took in what some of them said because I don't cook all of that. So like squash, somebody told me about squash. I never cooked squash. I've ate squash before and ate it with, whatever, but I never like actually cook squash. So I know now kind of what you would do in order to cook that. And I did some interesting things with some of my herbs. I did some wines with some of them. Instead of cooking them, I wrapped some of my herbs in wines, and I used them in that way, which was pretty interesting. And I could send a picture of that. And I did that after I went to Alice's garden for an event. So I was just thinking, besides cooking, some of the herbs could have been used like in teas and stuff too. And we thought about that in discussion, like between the neighbors and some of the mints and things like that, just like uses besides cooking that were useful to all of us too, like teas. We drink teas, we cook soups, and some of the things are good in soups. Then I came up with using some of the herbs for wines, like we just use them in every way that we could use all of the stuff. And then people were asking questions about like the zines and what some of that stuff was and how long we have been working on some of those things. And a lot of them wanted to know like what were we gonna be doing going forward. Like all of them were interested just in just more about like what we would be doing, continuing on, and just a little more interested than what I thought initially, and that was good.
Did they come up to your porch and have conversations with you, or did you have to go every day to their house and?
One of them come over. The other one kind of meet me halfway. We kind of talk in between the two houses. It's one neighbor like right on the other side of the house next to me. We usually have like these curbside discussions.
Was
So
your
where
was your
we come
conversation
outside and we in
reducing?
front, huh?
Was it going because of COVID? Had you stopped talking to your neighbors, or are you still talking?
No, we still talk. But we always did that, like these curbside discussions. we often are out like in the mornings or in the afternoons, and we'll all kind of come like to the curb in front of our house and kind of shout across the street from each, to each other and kind of talk like that. Sometimes we cross over, but we've been kind of sticking to the across the street thing, yeah, because it distances us. But yeah, we always talked. We talked during COVID, maybe a little less, but
Yeah.
because it was like colder in the beginning. But yeah, we all of us on like that this one half of our block, we all talk pretty frequently on a daily basis. Somebody's outside every day from one of our houses.
So you already knew most of the people you work with, because I think I was talking to Tremble,
Mm-hmm.
and she said, she made a good connection, two connections. And she said,
Me
that's
too.
a lot. Um,
Yeah, it's two families who I didn't know before. I just met them from doing this.
wow.
Yeah.
And did
And
anything
that
else happen as a result of that? Did you guys talk about other things than food? Like what you want to get
yeah,
done?
so like we've been talking about like just stuff in the neighborhood and just stuff, that people talk about. Like, um, my one neighbor's like who I just met. It's interesting because they're like the typical people who people like say don't do whatever in the community
Right.
because they're younger, they got a lot of kids, and they're renters. You know how people always talk about renters, but they like clean up and everything. They clean up in the alley. They clean up, like I see them cleaning up probably more often than some of us clean up. Like they got a lot of kids, so they have a lot of stuff. They almost clean up every day in the back and front of their house and up
Wow.
the side of the house. And one of them even told us something about like our garbage today. Like we've been having an issue with our garbage in our garbage cans. And because they were out there, they saw like whoever does that to our garbage cans and dumps their garbage. They were able to tell me like who did that. So I'm gonna have to go have a conversation with another one of our neighbors because it's their kids that's doing it.
Yeah.
And just talking about neighborhood stuff and spaces and just stuff like we got a house in between our two houses, just the conditions of the neighborhood a lot. It brought into discussions about community, about the work and just doing that and making sure looking out for each other. And it brought up a lot of those discussions.
You do so much for the city, you do so much for Sherman Park, the general area, and so on. What is your role in the block?
Everything. They just deemed me the block captain on the block. It's an older man on the block a couple of houses over. He used to do everything, like all of that. He worked for the city and stuff, but he's older. And when I came on the block, he told me he usually do whatever, but he was gonna pass the torch over to me to handle all that. That was like 8 years ago.
So you're like the mayor of the block.
Yeah.
So does that work? Do people listen to you? Have you been able to transform your block? Because you have a tremendous amount of energy. You transform a lot of things in the city. Uh, so does that work in the block too?
Our block good. Like even a long time ago, like we had this drug house on the block, and I don't like. So this kind of unorthodox. I believe like neighbors should talk to neighbors first before they get like law enforcement and stuff involved. But if they're able to do that, so it was a house on the block. It literally had our whole block like busy. It was just some weird stuff going on. So I talked to the young man who stayed in the house. And long story short, he had somebody else living there. And he was like, he said he didn't know like all of that stuff was going on. So we had a conversation and then the stuff slowed down. And he thanked me for telling him. A lot of people would think like he would have been mad and they would have told me like not to say nothing. But we were peers. He was my age. I didn't come like in a way like we gonna call the police. I just was like, look, a lot of people know this and whatever. And I would rather talk to you than people call the police and then you know.
Yep.
So anyway, it was an extra person in his house. It wasn't even him. He worked all day and whatever. He didn't even know. So he ended up talking to them, and it just slowed down instantly. And so we haven't had like no dangerous situations like that. But that was like the worst thing that I could think of that a lot of people might not have went to go do that I did. But you just gotta like gauge people and things. Like I'm a good people gauger. Like I could just tell like who to talk to, who not to, and how to approach people. Like you just can't approach people a certain way. I think a lot of people got communication problems.
No, you talk very well to people. You had a conversation with Dina from Wisconsin Humanities Council, and then she got so excited with what you said. I have no idea what you told her, but she went up to the governor's secretary,
Mm-hmm.
something McGee, and
Mm-hmm.
she basically talked about you for half an hour and how incredible work is being done in the Central Coast neighborhood. And she was like governor's secretary, Ever's secretary. And basically, what she wants to do is, after she came back, is like if we can, because I think you had clearly mentioned to her how important it is for all this free work that you guys do to be paid for. And so that's the message that she took over to the governor. So I think it makes a huge difference. I want to ask you to remember if you have any fun stories about such things, like how you get people excited about doing their civic duty. Because I have a question. It seems like Tremor's block, or Angela's block, there were people who they didn't know, so then they had to go, this became a way for them to know. But it seems to me you knew everyone, or everyone. You're the mayor of the block. So, like, what did this, was this useless, like these food things, or did
No,
it give you an
because this
opportunity?
what like people expect me to keep like with resources and tools and with stuff to help. It's almost I don't want to say expect. They don't expect, but they're used to it. So like in the winter, I know one winter Tremero did like a I forgot what she called it, but it was like for hats and gloves.
Yes.
And we had extra ones. You remember the thing, yeah. And so I ended up like going down the block, like to all the houses that had kids, and put enough hats and gloves on each porch or doorknobs. They knew I did it. Like whenever it's stuff on their porch, they like already know that I did it. So I like to keep stuff like that, going throughout the year. So I always try and drop food boxes or, the herbs or whatever I have to drop to them. I try and drop to them. I had some backpacks for a wellness giveaway. And instead of me doing like a giveaway at the Phoenix or something like I originally was, but it was closed that day. Um, we just did it on a block instead, usually, like when you write a grant proposal up or a request, you usually got to stick to what you said you would do and where.
Mm.
Um, but I ended up being able to be flexible and be able to switch and do it on a block to have more impact. And so we thought that would be better. Greg was saying like why we didn't do it on the block or whatever. And I was explaining like the future stuff would be on the block, but this project, I had set it up a certain way and this, that, and the other. And you know how it goes if you say you're going to do whatever. But the project people, when I kind of talked to them, they said that it was some flexibility. And so then I was able to just distribute, the kits. So a lot of the families that I did the food bags with each week are the families who got the wellness kits too. So they got like a
That's
double
awesome.
treat. Yeah.
So basically, just kind of adding on to it, so it just
Mm-hmm.
adds to the connections. And
Yep.
do you have any fun stories to share about your meeting with them while with the food stuff? Any fun events, something like Tramerl had a story of someone actually using the herbs for hair products. Did you know that?
Oh, I didn't think about that. Well, yeah, I made wands. I made a wand. I made a sage and hyssop wand, and I mixed lemongrass with it, and I wand it, and I learned how to do those. Well, I knew how to do it, but I never had done it, I'll say. I assumed or thought I knew how or whatever, which I did kind of, but I actually got a demo at Alice's Garden from Venus herself. And
But so
she
you
showed,
burn it? So you burn it?
yeah, so like, let me see. I got one right here that I made with Venus. This how I discovered I could do it with my herbs. So this is sage, this is the hyssop, the same stuff that came in the kits. So she ended up, I had a homicide event, just like honoring Buka and homicide families. Well, I didn't have it, but we partnered with like some people, and it was my Christy. Christy offered to do it and bring it here when Buka, was killed. She said she wanted to do that for me. And so we ended up organizing this big Guns to Garden Tools event where we forged guns into garden tools. This is
Oh,
my
wow.
garden tool. So this is a gun, and it was forged, and I beat metal. I didn't beat this metal, but they beat metal, and we beat it flat to make this. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yep. So this is a gun. This metal part is from a gun. And then this is dang, I forgot the name of it. The name is meaningful. I got to think about the name because the name of the tool is a meaningful name. And it has to do with it being repurposed into this. Matic. It was made from an automatic gun, and it's a Matic now. That's the name of the tool. It's a Matic. So, Guns to Garden Tools
And this happened
in
in
August.
August?
It was August 15th, and I learned Miss Venus had like a table at the event, and she was like making sage wands and allowing anybody to come up and make the wands. And she had hyssop, and she had sage, and she had something else that I forgot. Maybe it was only hyssop, actually hyssop and sage. So when y'all came and brought the herbs or whatever, when I saw them, I was like, that's what they bring. So I knew that you might bring it. So the next week I made that with mine. I made
Did
a
your
wine.
neighbors go? Did your neighbors go to Alice's garden too?
No, they didn't go to Alice's Garden. I wish they would have went. A lot less people show up to the violence events than other events.
Oh. So where do your neighbors
Unfortunately.
show up? Do you guys do any events in the neighborhood that they show up for?
Yeah, so when we do stuff like around the corner, so we'll have something coming up now. Actually, this Sunday, it's a yearly event. We always participate in. It's the Rock the Block event, and it's a backpack giveaway. Miss Farina does that over here, and a lot of other people, collaborate with her. We're one of the people. So every year, it's a dream team. It's called the Dream Team, and they do a lot of events like every other Sunday. I don't participate in everything, but every year I participate in this backpack giveaway and the Thanksgiving dinner that they do. And they do those both over on 35th and Center.
Oh, I see.
And so the neighbors, when we do events like for Imani and on 35th, 37th, 39th and Center, they come over there. So they
I see.
come when we do stuff right here, like immediately right here.
Cool. Okay, we're going to move on to the next one, but if Mallory
Wait,
has any questions, please go ahead and ask.
yeah, okay. So to backpedal a little bit, you mentioned that when people first got the boxes or the bags, they didn't quite know what the vegetables were inside. What do you think they were expecting to see when they opened up their bags? What kind of food do you think they thought?
Well, I told them vegetables and herbs. I kept trying to stress that so that would nobody think it was going to be food. But they were like looking, and I thought, like, honestly, I thought they were gonna be like, oh, thank you, like, I don't know. I just thought they were not gonna be interested. I was, but I just you know, it was really mainly the people who I didn't know that I was worried about the reaction, but they were the most thankful ones. So like nobody gave me the reaction I thought that I might get.
Right. And okay, so you get over the shock of not knowing what it is, and then is the first like neighborhood step to contact each other and be like, what is this random vegetable? How
Yeah,
do I
so
use
that's
it?
what we did after that. Like like the two neighbors across the street, they identify stuff with each other. And then like me and the neighbors my side, we kind of all looked and identified. Then one day the lady came from across the street and we all were talking about it's something it was something like the cucumber, the lemon cucumbers, those stood out. That was like weird to everybody. And then one time the eggplant things, they were like humongous. Like they were like huge. So that was a thing. And then the greens, oh, they love the greens. You know, we like the greens.
Okay.
It was a lot of tomatoes, a lot of tomato eaters, really grateful for just the amount of the stuff that was in there. Just I don't know. Yeah, I just really didn't get the reaction. I thought like some of them might not be interested in whatever. I just hadn't had any interaction, but that everybody like really received it, and it prompted us to talk. We even looked up some of this stuff on the internet to figure out like what to do, how to cook it, and what it was.
So then if one person looked that up and found a recipe, was there like a recipe sharing network? Or do you think
Yeah,
it would
like
be helpful if next time we would share a recipe or give information about the
yes,
vegetables?
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. And it was helpful. Somebody, was it Chelsea? Somebody added in some like things to tell people like they like that. We like that too.
Which
It was
things?
besides what Alice's garden put in there, I think like with the little individual bags that came, they had labels in there too. Like individual labels, because like Venus has some stuff labeled, but then the other stuff wasn't labeled. But then after that, they were.
Okay.
So that kind of took some of the guesswork out of it.
So just something that, I'm telling you from, if you meet Chelsea, tell her that because she'll be really happy. She told me that we should label these things and we do it in like Venus's garden. And then from there to, I said, I don't have time. You know how I am. So I'm like, no, I can't do it. I don't have time. I mean, so Chelsea, she said she kept quiet. And then she went home and she made those things herself from her, when she got her dad's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just got really irritated. I said, no, I mean, I don't have time. If you want to do it, go ahead and do it, blah, blah, blah. And so she
Well,
did.
that was really helpful. So let's tell Chelsea thank you, an
Tell
extra
Chelsea.
thank you for
If you
that.
meet her, do tell her because I was that horrible man who didn't let her.
Yeah, so we noted that and we appreciated that.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I think that we sometimes I think we just assumed that everyone would know what it was, but then even at the same time we would pick up the vegetables and I wouldn't even know what it was and somebody would have to tell me. So why would you know what it is if it's going from like person to person and we're like, here's a vegetable. I don't know.
Yeah.
But okay, labels next time, next year.
and the other thing that we were very thankful of is Groundworks. They stepped in when we realized the food was actually very little, and we didn't know what to do. I mean, once we went to Victory Gardens and they had like two things. So I was like, I went to the person and I said, listen, we can't give two things. I want something else. I was shameless. I was like, I want that. That was the tomatillo day. And she's like, you want tomatillos? I said, yes, I want that. And I just grabbed the tomatillos and took it. It was kind of bad manners, but and then we went to Groundworks. And Groundworks gave us so much food that we could actually fill in all 42 of them or 36 of them. Not fill, but add more.
Oh, that's
Okay,
cool.
I'm going to move on to the zines, okay?
Okay.
So because we are wondering what the future has to look like. And one of the things that we are looking at is when, the days we had those events with Newark and Milwaukee, they brought in a lot of issues. The housing issue, for instance, there were all these things. And so we were thinking maybe we should make zines out of that. So I want your feedback on the zines. And then if you heard anything about some of the zines being good or bad. So just let's generally talk about the zines, what you can tell us.
The housing zines was real good. Those were really good, really interesting. A lot of rich history and things I think a lot of people know, and then a lot of people just don't know, like what happened in the story of our neighborhood and just period. Like what happened. It's like a whole story with housing here. And it probably is in other places too, but it's really a rich history with the factories and the freeways and, that have a lot to do with our housing stock here in the city. And I think when you tie all of those things together, you can see more how targeted it was too. And I think that helps to tell the story and shape the story of what happened to our community as a whole. And I think it was a lot of things like how y'all had the timeline with all those dates in there and stuff. That was like a lot.
Did the people you talked to about the zines, did they have any specific issues, questions, or something they
They
didn't?
didn't know none of that stuff, like a lot of that stuff. They just didn't know. And then one of the houses had a lot of kids that would go through the stuff. So they were more attracted to things that looked cooler than the info. But the ones that had info, they like some people, even one of our older neighbors didn't know some of that stuff on there. So that's enough. I was surprised they looked through those zines too. They actually looked through them. I would ask them about them.
And what
And they
about
would tell me certain things about some certain ones. So I know they at least looked at them for real.
is there any one of those which you might use later on? I mean, so what I'm trying to figure out here is, were they useful? Could they do something? Is it worth it? Should we make more of those? And if so, what?
Yeah, for certain stuff, like I think people want to see a lot of things now too. Like the zines into real time and what's going on and what's happening and what can be done, like action zines. I think it was a lot of info and history zines. If we could get some action and current zines too. Some of those, like I said, the housing ones were really good. I mean, certain ones, like I noticed, like the kids were more interested in the more fun ones, like the colorful ones and the ones that look a certain way versus the ones with a lot of written info. But I think the written info was rich for like the adults. So like if it's some way to blend it, like info, but with pictures, like, anything with pictures, just a little more pictures. And it would be good, but current stuff too. Current stuff. I think a lot of people want to know a lot about current projects right now and what they could jump right into. That may a lot of the people we talked about engagement, right? And all of this, especially with the movement and just stuff, a lot of people want to get more engaged. So they want to know like what's going on and what's the future or how to do certain actions. So now a lot of people looking and they thinking like, what can they do to be more engaged?
So basically letting them know what's going on so that they can actually do something there.
Yep, or just what to do. Like community building. Like things people legit don't know. Like they don't even know certain things like places to go or that is, a lot of people think that it's just the organizations out here. They don't even know about like grassroots and community-based organizations, or some of them only know that and don't know about like the bigger thing organizations and what they do. Just knowing stuff, knowing who's out there. Some people think the only way to get assistance is and resources is through 211. Just knowing it's a whole world out there of different people and different networks and different just and then just trying to promote the village mentality, getting to know your neighbors, do activities with your neighbors, block groups with not block groups, like events. block parties, you know,
Right.
things to get to know and engage with each other. Pop-ups. Like instead of running in, we run out.
Okay, Mallory, do you have any questions about the zines?
Um, so I guess I was thinking some of the hard parts about making current zines is that we want to be able to use them repeatedly for some amount of years, right? And if we have current ones, then you have to make new ones all the time. But what about, so we had one that highlighted like Peace Garden Project and Amaranth Cafe. So do you
Yeah.
like those ones that
Yep.
highlight neighborhood organizations and groups?
Yep. And just projects and things, initiatives. Yeah, like those. Those were like, if we could say a leaning more towards something as far as for current things, something like that. That's what I'm saying. Like, just like that. Just maybe like now we got Upstart. Like that's gonna be a staple in the neighborhood, just like the Phoenix and certain things. Like it's current now, but it's something big. Like even people don't know about that. They don't know that it's a wellness and mindfulness place. Just stuff.
We
But
should make one for Sherman Phoenix.
yeah, the amaranth and the trickle bean was like I like those.
What's Upstart?
Upstart is an entrepreneurial hub for people who want to have restaurant and cooking businesses, baking, anybody who need a commercial kitchen. They can use their commercial kitchen there for their business. So like if somebody selling cupcakes, but they don't have nowhere to cook them, they could go there and cook them to sell them.
So what's the future for you, like for us? What would your advice be for us for the future of this project? What should we do? What will work for you now as a person who would use these things?
I would love so I'm always thinking about like how long y'all will be in this neighborhood. It's other neighborhoods, right? It's Harambe, um, it's Amani, it's um, you know, Lindsay Heights, Walnut Way, over there on the other side of Metcalf. I'm just like thinking about like bringing some of the other stuff like to the other neighborhoods, but I just really love how we expanded the other phases of our spaces. So it's like, although I want to move around in space, like I like some things, like I like the rain shed that Jerry did. Like now I like one on one of the lots over here in the neighborhood. Like a lot of the things. So with me, for us, I'm really happy for the work. I'm happy that we all collaborated. But I feel like in a sense that I build up Unity and Scholars Park, but I didn't think about some of the Peace Garden spaces, right? So like Imani's Lot, I never got any installations on it, and I just wanted to spread those. Like I did the planner the first year. I would have liked to get something, you know, the next year or something like that. So if I could change anything, that's the only thing that I would change. Like I'm happy for the installations on Unity, but at the same time, I wish that I would have put something on one of the community gardens or on Imani's Lot, one of our spaces.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's just what I'm thinking about because we need a couple of things. Like I don't have any signage,
Yeah.
just stuff. So I just, that was, if I had anything I would tweak or change a little bit, that's probably the only thing I would change a little bit.
Yeah, and that will happen because see the way we do it, we are not there to come and redo Unity Orchard. That's not what we do. We create just a catalyst, and then we walk away, and people will do it. And you
Mm-hmm.
know, so actually, that big stage thing is not us, right? It's my career. So
Right,
that kind of he took over from there, and he got excited. I
right.
think we have to move over somewhere else now in the neighborhood, but not
Yeah.
like not another neighborhood. So it'll be probably either the Imani Garden or I was going to ask you between your house and Miss Tremerle's house, there is no empty lot, right?
Absolutely is, and I am renovating it. And somebody just asked me if they could donate 3 raised garden beds. It's actually a lot on the end of my block that I'm actually in the process of getting ownership of or whatever, like to take care of the lot through the city. I already talked to Damien. I already talked to Eve with the city. Eve sent over a permit. They're probably gonna, I'm pretty sure they're gonna let me get the lot because I already been planning stuff. So,
So if let's talk about this. If you are
mhm.
thinking long term about that lot, is there a zine that'll help, or that doesn't matter really?
I don't know. Like, I would have to think a little bit more about that. I don't want to immediately say no to that. Probably so, but I'm just trying to think of how it would. But yeah, I think it
Because you
could
do
be.
want all the neighbors to take ownership of the lot, right? But you
Hmm.
get to do something out there which they will feel like they can add to something. So I'm trying to
Yeah.
think is without actually building, because I don't have those students. Can we do something else? I've got 4 students, and is there something I can do in terms of the zines that get them excited about what's going to come?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty sure. And then I would like to do something like that because the kids play on that lot. And some of what I want to do is instead of like taking over the whole lot like we do when we transform lots, I want to leave a lot of the lot available for them to still play and do what they usually do on that lot. And I kind of just want to take like the corners or the front 2 corners of that lot and transform it so it's actually a little bit different and unique, and then border this area and level out that playing field. It's actually a field that they play on, and I would like to level it and make it even, and then put stuff in the corners of the lot so that the whole lot is still available for them to run across it and not trample any flowers or anything that we put there. So I had like an idea to design it a certain way so that they can still play on it.
Okay. What about eco art? Can you tell me a little more about? You said that once. That's why I'm bringing it up.
Oh yeah, so like I am like obsessed with like plants and green and flowers and stuff. And I just feel like everything that get built, it could be green and infrastructure or any art that get installed, it could just be added in. So I've been looking at over the years just different versions of different art. So a lot of times it'll have like, I'll give an example, like a lady, and it'll be like her head will go like to the edge of the billboard, and then all of this, like how I'm sitting here, and it probably look like this plant is coming from my head.
Oh, I see.
It'll be like, vines and stuff that makes it look like the lady, like something like this. But picture this on like a mural, you know? So like a face and, you know, um, just murals with people and hair that's green. Or just, art implementing, it could be flowers, right? And then you can have like green, around it. Like, the mural on 48th, on 48th the center that Tia did.
Yeah.
It's my dream to fill up the bottom of that wall with daylilies, because it's daylilies all in that mural,
Yeah.
like something like that. Um, so, just things like that. Like if it's a mural and putting flowers across the bottom of it, just stuff. If it's a board, putting a planter across the bottom, like whatever to add flowers or green to that art. And
Okay.
then like I was looking at the rain shed that Jared did or whatever, and I was just picturing how it could be green on that. Like it could be vining on that. Just
Mm-hmm.
whatever you could
Mm-hmm.
add to it. Yep. So just stuff like that. And when I do my lots, I don't want my lots to look like a standard city of Milwaukee lot. I want my lots to look like really interesting for somebody to say, oh, look at this, and to like it's intriguing for them to go walk over.
Okay.
You know, I wanted to have a different feel to it.
Okay, I'm going to move on to the last part of the thing, and that has to do with the Newark Milwaukee connection. I know we did it on days, Saturdays, where you were not available, so you kind of managed to be in one or two of them. But we had to do it because Saturday was the best day for us to get the Newark people in. Everybody had different kinds, so we just settled on Saturday. But I wanted to ask you about this connection. So the reason we did this is we also realized that I realized that, sometimes in Milwaukee, one block doesn't know what's happening in the block next to a block. In fact, I realized that they don't know, Sherman Park doesn't know what's happening in Washington Park. And between Centerpiece and Washington Park, it's not really another place. It's the same place, right? So for instance, I was talking to Angela Pruitt today. She's in Washington Park. She lives right next to the Black Cowboys Association place. And she was like, oh, I wish there was some more zines of my neighborhood. So I said, do you know where that other neighborhood is? It's just crossover from North. So I said, that's where Sherry lives. And she worked for Safe and Sound. So yeah, well, I know Sherry. So I said, see, that's the same neighborhood. It's just like happens to be in two different jurisdictions. So these kind of conversation allowed us, we wanted to have conversations across boundaries, because I feel like what's happening with a lot of the neighborhoods I work in is everyone is struggling for the same reason, but they're not talking to each other. So that's how the Newark, New Jersey, and Milwaukee conversation started. I was wondering what you think about such conversations. Is this something that you want to continue, or is it not worth it? And if so, what would you want something out of this kind of conversation?
I think I like to see the work expand. The problem here in the city, even with like organizers and people in the neighborhoods, is a lot of time it's a lot of different things. Like for us, I think it's just a disconnect of being so I'm gonna tell you, what's the organization? It used to be Washington Park Partners. Is it
Yeah,
still it?
it's
So
you
they
see.
disconnected. A lot of the neighborhood organizations are disconnected, just like SPCA, they disconnected. And then they hire people like myself or Gabby or somebody who's really vested in the neighborhood and really knows how to get to the people and do certain things. And then we go to these places and they're just not connecting the right ways. And it's almost unorthodox, right? For you to
Yeah,
do work that you know is not conducive to the work that we're doing, and you know it's working against it. So it's like a conflict. And it's like the organizers and the organizations need to come together more. And then the organizers out here in the blocks, if it was a medium for us to connect more. The organizations always do these meetings and do these things, but like y'all bridge the gap between some of the people. Like you were able to tell Angela and show her like, hey, this is another neighborhood. This is what they do. Or like y'all help bridge Miss B with us. So really something like what y'all did, or more hands on the ground where people are more direct and looking and reaching out to people with the outreach to connect the groups. The neighborhood associations are limited to the boundaries of their neighborhood.
right.
Danelle do Metcalf Community Bridge, and she just do that neighborhood. You cross the street, it's different. Then Sherman Park, that's not their boundaries. Their boundaries only go to here. Washington Park Partners, that's what stopped them from doing the work, because they got them boundaries. And
That's
that's why they'll
powerful.
never do the work right, because they had the boundaries, and they stick to the boundaries because it's only about the grant and the funding and the boundaries.
There you go. Right. Yeah. But what about the Newark ones? I mean, I know that you're talking with Anthony.
Oh yeah, so Anthony, and I connected him to like my old coworker. This was like a while ago, like last summer though, but one of my old coworkers with the same last name, Diaz, he was like leading off like the lead initiative. They got like all of these thousands of dollars from the mayor committed to, fixing the lead and whatever. And I just remembered when I went to Newark, like Anthony was like the water person, and I connected Richard and Anthony about a year ago. I don't really know what happened out of that. I think Anthony said they didn't ever end up talking too much more, but I wasn't there anymore, so I don't know like what ended up happening. But I still think like I'm doing the translocal labs. So I'm doing the first two. I told him I'll do all of them, but I know for sure.
No, don't do all of them.
I looked at them. The field trip was like, I don't know, but I actually, I would, and I'm interested, you know, and if I'm not doing them, I would participate in them anyway, because I think it's interesting, and I'm really, really interested in what they're going to teach in that. And I think it's very important to do stuff translocal. I think it's very important for us to connect. When I was at Hal the first year, remember I keep trying to get you to go to do a project with dang, I can't think of his name. It's two of them. It's a black one and a white one. Who work at the University of Newark. Shoot, I can't think of that man's name right now. It's your friend. He was expecting you to come, but you didn't end up coming the first year. I'm gonna tell
Not
you in a minute.
Tim Eatman?
Tim, yep, because
Yeah.
it's Black Tim and it's White Tim. White Tim, who work at Newark. We were just talking about some different things. And I just think like a lot of what they got going on there is dope. It's a lot like what some of us are doing here, but it's like we doing some stuff that they not doing, and they doing some stuff that we're not doing. And if you like mash those together, it would be like really dope. So I think it is cool to see what they're doing there in the community, and for them to see some of the things that we do, because a lot of us got the same issues, and a lot of these ideas that we have often are not new ideas, but it's just ways that they're carried out, or the carry out of the ideas tweaked out, and that's what makes it unique or effective with a neighborhood.
Yeah, but how do you do it?
Well, we just us talking and connecting and sharing. Like Thursday I'll be talking about, so like something we do here that was interesting to them there is like how we do pop-ups here. Most people run in, we run out to reclaim our street. You know, we run to it. Most people run away from whatever. We run to see what's going on and what's happening and how we can fix it. And I realized that was like backwards a long time ago, but it's just something we do. I know we just do that. And I think it's just somebody, like, when it's in you to call to action and to do whatever, it's just in you because you want to do whatever. You don't want to be sitting around complaining and not doing it. I hated nothing more when I was doing, like, campaign work and community work. People complain all the time, and they don't do nothing about nothing. They don't try out how to change it, how to fix it. All they do is complain. I think anybody who sit and complain and don't do nothing is part of the problem. And it irked my soul. Because the first thing when somebody complaining, I'm wondering what they did to fix it or what they gonna do to fix it. That's the first thought. How are you gonna fix that? Because I'm trying to figure out stuff, me personally, when I don't like how something is going and how I can change it, break it up, shake it up, speak up about it. So I just can't understand that. And it bothered me.
So
and
the
so I
pop-ups
think,
are like, pop-ups are an answer to that, is what you're saying?
huh?
The pop-ups are answers to
No,
that?
so I was telling them, like, I was talking to, oh, I'm having so many brain freezes, but I was talking to someone from Newark, the one who connected me with the meeting that I'm doing this meeting with on Thursday. I got to look at my email. I'm just having a brain freeze right now. Newark.
Leora.
Yeah. I don't know. That ain't him. I'm going to
Okay.
tell you in a minute.
Leora is the person who's got tattoos everywhere.
No, not Leora. I know who Leora is. That's my girl. No, not Leora. It's somebody else. It's
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I'll tell you in 2 seconds. But anywho, I was just explaining to him, like, okay, like when a shootout happened, most people go inside, they stay inside, they don't try and go outside. But like pop-ups is like the idea of us all popping up when it's a shootout. Us all bringing resources, going to bring a barbecue grill and basically having a pop-up party. That's how you divert stuff. And then if you know it's a hot spot, a lot of people will be like, oh, I'm gonna stay away from there. It's real bad. The pop-ups will go over there randomly a lot in an area that's a hot spot just for the sake of diverting crime and things like that. Of course, it won't make it go away because when they leave, then of course the people come, but it diverts it for a little while. And then if people know that those people are going to keep popping up, that make people tend to not want to be around for a minute too. That might make them go somewhere else. And so it's worked.
So you're
Despite
a part of a team that does that, or is it just anybody?
it's just like the whole, I ain't like lately they've been protesting and stuff. That's the pop up to go pop up at wherever.
Right.
But yeah, that's what we do all the time. Like if it's something going on, we all show up. If you see all the organizers before this movement, if you would see all of us in one place, it was very calculated and it was a reason. And usually whenever that happened, we got whatever we were trying to get done. I can't think of a time we did it actually. But
So
it
you
take
call
all
each
of
other
us.
up, you send SMS, and boom, there you're
Yeah,
there, like a
back
flash
call.
mob.
We used to just like meet in person. We ain't talk on the phone and stuff. But now like the society got us having to talk on the phone and on the internet and stuff. We like to talk in person.
Awesome. This is so good. I didn't even know that this was a thing.
Yeah, I call it the network. So yeah, we like call. We had inboxes. We used that first. We had a text message, like where we were all in a text message, and then but it became like irritating for your phone to go off all the time, like for stuff. So then we started having like Facebook groups. Then some groups won't deal with everybody, and people will be talking too much, and this, that, and whatever. So it'll be like I'm in like several groups. And I could just go look if I need help, got a person with help, I just put it in the group and vice versa.
Okay, we don't want to take too much of your time. Is there anything else you want us to know about this project that we should do, or if Mallory has questions also, you should bring it in?
Yeah, I said earlier, but I'll just note again, like food besides the herbs, that would be good to add some meat up in there.
You want some meat?
Yeah, some meat.
What else? What other kinds of food would you want? What to you is like food?
I don't know, carbs, some noodles, some rice. That's it really.
So something you could make like a
it
full
was
meal,
fruit,
right?
huh?
Like
Yeah,
maybe like a
some,
meal
yeah,
kit.
that would be dope. Oh, there's something else I just want to be note that I ended up not thinking about. So, like one family was big, and I sometimes would combine some stuff and add some of mine into theirs to make them have more stuff. I always planned when I did the wellness kits, I did that too. I assumed every household size would be the same size. I didn't account for which households were bigger. You know, I didn't really think about that. And I don't really know always how you do that. Well, this time I know because we had two-way communication now because of these two things. But if you go in there initially, you wouldn't know that. But once you find out, just adjusting for that. So like it was like a lot of people in one of the houses, like a lot. And it just wasn't, I was like, oh, I gotta add a little bit up in here because of the amount of them in the house. But yeah, other than that, no.
Okay. Is Greg fine?
Mm-hmm.
Is he painting? I can see some of his paintings behind. Is that
They
his
said
painting?
that earlier. No, my cousin did this. Can you see it?
Yeah, it's very nice. It's really nice.
It's of me.
Oh, wow.
You see your little dreadlocks?
Yes, yeah. Oh my God, yes.
She's holding the city and is gardening, growing
That's
under it.
awesome.
She's in a field of green.
That is awesome.
Yes.
Okay,
And he's
so
not painting, he's drawing right now.
good for him. Yes, no, I really like his drawings. His drawings are so good. And I mean, I'm so glad he showed it to everyone that day. I wish
Me
we had
too.
dwelt on it a little more.
He need to do this gallery.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
I was hoping Munir will see that, and I don't know if Munir registered, but you know, Munir didn't know how to use his laptop.
That was so funny because I already know, because I know how Munir is with technology. So I thought that was so funny. I was cracking up over here. Like,
Somebody
oh
come to help
Lord,
us.
y'all got Munir on Zoom. I had to look and see if he could get his camera on, because I couldn't believe y'all even got him to get on there.
Somebody came and put it on for him because
Oh, no wonder.
he called me in the morning and he said, how do I get into my laptop? And I'm saying, like, I don't know what the question means. And then he started
Oh, that
asking me
was
these
so
questions.
funny.
Is the login the same thing? I'm like, Munir, we just had this. We went over, Chelsea and I went to his office and we showed him everything. And then we thought it was all fine. And then when I came back on the day, he calls me up like an hour before, half an hour. And he says, how do you get into the laptop? And I'm like, oh my God, let's just get Godsil to come and help you. So we called up Godsil.
Oh, James went over there and helped him.
Yes.
That's so funny. Do Gossel live in he live in Washington Park?
You know, I know he lives somewhere nearby here. I don't know where he lives actually, but he's hanging out all the time there, and he's working a lot with Q. And now I'm going to actually have to set up that meeting with Q and you and Greg. So because
With
it's
Q?
going on, huh?
And James? Q, STEM developer Q? And James?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. What we meeting about? I definitely want to be in that meeting with Greg.
So I'm going to set it up. No, James knows this. So James Godsill is a very interesting man.
I know. He follows me. He loves me, my work. And yeah. He been following me since I started, before I even did Peace Garden, I think.
Yeah, kind of. And then he sends you emails, which I don't understand what he says. It's just like this thing. He says things. And I'm like, what does that mean? Anyway, he's working with Q a lot. But anyway, so I'll see you on Thursday again.
Hey, wait, can I ask one more project question that I just thought of?
Yes, of course, yes.
Yes.
Camille, do you know if anyone that you gave the conversation kits to, if they tuned into the Saturday morning conversations or were interested in tuning in but weren't able to?
I know my neighbor across the street, the one who came over when y'all was here, Miss Lular from across the street, Miss Hughes. Yeah. I don't know if she got to listen to it, but I know she wanted to, and she still wants to.
They're online. Tell her how to get there.
Yeah, I'm gonna send her the link. Okay. I'm just thinking about that. Huh?
What's her name?
Miss Lular, Miss Hughes, the one who came over, the one who always be like, y'all want something to drink? Yeah. She done came over like twice now. Yeah.
Lular, Lular?
Yep.
Okay. No, that's good to know. I'll send you the details. It's up online.
Okay. That was it.
Okay.
That was my question.
Okay. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
I've got pretty much everyone we just have to get Sherry to respond to our emails. Sherry is a tough one.
I ain't talked to Sherry. I gotta talk to her too about, well, I think I already talked to Farina instead. Yeah. Good luck.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
All right.
Say hi to Greg.
He's here. Hello. He said
hi.
Hi.
Keep drawing. Keep drawing.
All right.
Love your drawing. Bye.
Bye.
So yeah. Hey, listen, I want to
Yeah.
ask you a question.
Should I stop recording?
Stop recording.